Right. Hello, and welcome to Black Legacy Architects, Uncommon Conversations of Wisdom and Aspiration. I'm your host, Chief Ethy Bell, and I am truly honored to have you with us today. In this unique series of conversations, we're going to delve into the heart of legacy building and exploring the powerful metaphor of the legs of the legacy standing on the shoulders of giants. This metaphor really encompasses the essence of legacy, drawing on rich heritage and past achievements while forging a path for future generations and the current generations as well. So, our guests are here with us. They're amazing. I'm super excited to talk with them, and they embody two critical roles in this process. They are either representing the legs of legacy, which are actively shaping our current moments and our future moments at the same time. They stand on the shoulders of giants, those who have paved the way, especially women who have contributed significantly to the space that we are finding ourselves in. So, as we get ready to get started, I want to welcome our guests, and we're going to start with our first question and jump in. Are y'all ready?
Yes.
All right. So, to begin our conversation, could you please introduce yourself with your name, the city you're based in, your age, your favorite ice cream or frozen dessert, and then what you're passionate about in life, and then a quote that captures your perspective of Black legacy. So, we're going to invite the ladies to go first today, if that's okay. And maybe we'll start with, we've got two Ashleys with us today. So, we're going to start with Ashley Glass. Would you like to go first?
Sure.
All right, go ahead.
So I'm Ashley Glass. I in Fairfield or Cincinnati, Ohio. People may be more familiar with that. And then my favorite ice cream slash frozen dessert. So my favorite ice cream is butter pecan, but frozen dessert, if we broaden it, is a turtle sundae.
Oh,
So I like I guess sweetness with nuts is kind of my thing. And a quote. So I will go off of my own quote, which is life is not surface level. And when thinking about just ancestors and then people who have paved the way before me, I just feel like um, I feel that is important when you're trying to make change and you interact with so many different people. Just remember that you're interacting with a person and they may have a lot of other things going on, and show up with grace and understanding and be flexible when trying to move the needle. So that is my introduction.
yeah. Tell us what you're passionate about
Oh,
and
that's
the
right.
work you do. Yeah.
So I'm very passionate about mental health. I am a founder of a nonprofit. It's called Black Women Cultivating Change. So we work to reduce the stigma related to mental health and wellness in the Black community. So I founded that because I've had my own experience with depression and anxiety, as well as just seen it with my friends, family members, and in our community. And it's hard to navigate through the behavioral health space. There's not a lot of people who look like us in that space. And so just very passionate about making those conversations more easier, providing safe spaces. And then I also am passionate about health equity in general. I have a background in healthcare, so public health and nursing, and just try to be innovative and create change in a space that's predominantly filled with people who don't look like us, and trying to recruit more people who look like us in this field. So that
Yeah.
is that is me.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anaria.
Hi, everyone. Make sure y'all can hear and see me. My name is Anaria. I am based in Athens, Ohio. It's where I currently attend college. My favorite frozen dessert or ice cream. I like turtle sundaes too. There's this place here called Wits, and it's like frozen custard, really good.
What are you
I'm
passionate?
passionate, I'm passionate about a lot of things, specifically like creativity and just like self-expression in any form for any person. I feel like there's a lot of art in the world in a lot of ways that people don't immediately identify it as that, but people just being creative with themselves and expressing themselves and doing the things that they love is like something that I really like to bring out to people.
Oh, thank you. we'll go over to Brian McConnell. Welcome, welcome.
Hello. Yeah, I'm Brian McConnell. I am currently in Cincinnati, Ohio. I noticed everybody skipped the age part of this question.
Oh,
So,
yeah, women typically do that. That's
okay.
Oops, not on purpose.
In line with everybody. So favorite ice cream would be Haagen-Dazs, bourbon, praline, pecan. What I'm passionate about is, I think, personal and community growth. So in terms of mental health, I think emotional intelligence, as sort of a broad stroke. Um, and, um, and for everyone, but obviously as a Black male, I think it's very important for men to learn these things, to have the opportunity, understand vulnerability, it's not weakness, and grow in sort of their ability to communicate. So those are the areas that I am passionate.
Yeah, it's important. Y'all are doing big stuff. Ashley Gray.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Gray. I am Cincinnati based. One of my favorite desserts is Blue Moon cookie dough. I'm a UDF kid. And it's like been a favorite since it came out. One of the things that I am passionate about is people, making sure that I effectively tell their story. A lot of times what happens is people have stories that are gonna make an impact or need to be heard, whether it's them contributing that to work or the work that they do impacting lives. They want to tell a story or get it across. I am in marketing currently. So I do marketing and business development here in the city. One of my favorite quotes as it relates to Black excellence is fairly new. It's newer. This person said it a couple of years ago, and it's, "We will all at some point encounter hurdles to gaining access and entry, moving up and conquering self-doubt, but on the other side is the capacity to own opportunity and tell your own story." That person is Stacey Abrams.
Yeah, that's good. I know we missed a few quotes. Do we want to circle back? Do you have a quote, Brian,
I
Anaria?
just realized that. Anaria, do you want to go first?
She said
Okay,
no.
okay. My humanity is bound up in yours, for we can only be human together. Desmond Tutu.
Okay. Anaria, do you have a quote you want to share?
A quote that I really like is by Shirley Chisholm: "If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair."
Yeah. Yes, bring a there's multifacets to a photo. All right. So thank you for sharing those insights and just inviting and sharing who you are. And so thank you for that. So let's jump into our next question, right? So when you think about being highlighting like the profound impact about legacy building, contributions around legacy building, or even just thinking about these vital roles around legacy building. What I want to talk about next is just as we honor Black History Month, right? And so Black History Month, just background because we're global, right? So we're talking to people all over the globe. And Black History Month is typically celebrated in the United States, right? And it was started as an effort to recognize our heritage, our contributions to society at large, to industries, to knowledge. And it's all month in the month of February. And it's now become, I think even now, Black History Month is even bigger than what I can remember as a child. And I love the way it's thriving and growing and glowing. And so it's really exciting. And so we're here to really kind of talk about Black history, but one thing about us is it's connecting to our heritage and connecting across the globe, right? So like we're not just independent, right? So we're all humanity connected to one another. And so throughout this series, we're going to be bringing different voices, really where we share heritage, right? We're bringing different voices to this conversation. So my question for you is, when you think about the legs of legacy stand on the shoulders of giants, right? I want you to tell us, which one do you think you are? Are you the legs of legacy right now, or are you a giant that has your shoulders being stood on? And why? What does that mean to you? Right? What does that mean to you? So, are you the legs of legacy? And what does that mean to you? And then, if you're a shoulders of giants, what does that mean to you? So, we'll go whatever order, whoever's ready.
I can go. I chose legs. And I think that's done in the day-to-day movements, whether that's volunteering, whether that's opening my home, whether that's speaking to people, making myself available for the process of growing and learning, and to continue to educate those that I come in contact with about the importance of whatever subject we're facing at that time, whether again it be mental health, young men, young women, their personal development. I think that's my way of paying back, and that's my way of keeping things moving, to keep it present in the minds that will precede me.
Thank you. And whose shoulders do you feel that you're standing on in that work?
Everybody that came before me. I mean, everybody's, I think as I get older, I realize the value of even the smallest movement, right? So, the giants, you can name the names that we have, especially in Black History Month, but from the organizer in a small town, to the mom that picked up someone else's kids, to the father that stayed late, to whatever it is, I think everybody has a part to play. And I think that gets missed sometimes, that your impact in that small radius that you live in is just as great as the next person. So.
Great. I think if I could say, like, I think I've been in this place of, I've been the legs, and in this new position, I think I'm beginning to like have this expectation to be the giant, and it is like completely new, unfamiliar. And so I'm like, no, I'm the legs. I am the legs. Like I'm not a giant. I'm the legs. But I see the importance of like being the legs, and then I see the importance of being the giant as well. So for the majority of my career, I feel like I have been the legs, of standing on the tops of like my ancestors. And I think that question was two-part.
No, it's good. That's good. Yeah, we'll keep going.
I will go. I chose the legs, but as you all were talking, Ashley and Brian, I feel like I am a little bit of both. So with the legs, I look to my mentors, of course, as the giants, and try to, I guess, be more innovative or just more bold when it comes, especially to the nursing profession. But I also, as the giant point of view, I definitely am looking to recruit and pull other women into the profession. So I see myself doing both and trying to have the patience of while being the giant, because I suffer from perfectionism with myself and with others. And so being able to let others, point things out maybe that I missed, or think about things in a different way. And the patience that comes with that also helps me be the legs too, because then I understand how the giants feel when I'm doing my new things or bringing my new ideas. So it's kind of like a give and take relationship, but I feel like I am a little bit of both.
Yeah, absolutely. It's this tension, it's this tug of war, right? And it's kind of like, who am I today? Like, and sometimes as the legs, it's like all of a sudden you're the shoulders, you're like, why is somebody standing on me? Like, get off of me. What are you doing? Did you know your shoes were dirty? So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic that I think it gives this visualization, right? To saying, oh wow, like I am standing on people. And oh, what does that mean? What kind of weight are they trying to uphold? So Anari, you want to invite your voice into the room?
I would definitely have to agree and say that I do feel both at the same time. Like just being the legs is definitely like just like engaging with my community is very important to me. And I do have like a lot of leadership roles on my campus and just like trying to make sure I'm being able to create new spaces for the people that come after me, but also feeling like standing on the shoulders of giants because I recognize the importance of, you know, my ancestors and the work that they did and honoring the struggles and the achievements that they went through and did. And I think it's very important to honor that legacy and make sure that it's not forgotten and to make sure that people understand the history that comes behind all of the things that they went through.
Yeah, when you think about, you said something about creating spaces to leave behind. Like, say more about that. Like, why is that? What does that mean, and why is that important?
I know at my campus, just specifically because this is like the community that I'm based in and have been for a while, um, there are a lot of things that are specific to the Black community here at OU. And I think that it's very important to make sure that those spaces stay alive because they're very easy to die off because the Black community can get so small. A lot of times when like classes graduate, the Black community get really, really small, and it can be hard to maintain a lot of the different organizations and the different spaces that we have here on campus, like the MCC. My org and a lot of people have worked to help maintain and refurbish the Multicultural Center because that is like a safe space for students here at OU has historically been a safe space for Black students.
Yeah. Other thoughts?
I think we covered a lot, but I guess speaking to the Ashleys, I think, and listening to them, right? I think as legs, right? At some point you do transition into the giant, right? Like it's inevitable if you're doing the work consistently and for a long time. At some point, right? It's like parenting or being a young adult, becoming a parent, and then you're a mentor, right? Whether you ask for it or not, you're now passing on wisdom. So I think kind of reflecting on the questions everybody spoke, it makes sense in transition. And then anytime you go against the established system for change, you are putting yourself out there as a giant in that space because you are the target, you are the voice, and anything that comes after you is kind of working on that.
Yeah. How do you go back? So, like, you all talked about like honoring the work of ancestors. Like, we can think about that in a very, abstract and theoretical way. But when you, I mean, like, let's get like it's uncommon conversation, right? So, like, I really want to push you to say, who specifically are you standing on their shoulders, and how do you know that? And do they know it, right? Do you know it? Do they know it? And what specifically is it that they did that you're standing on, right? So, like Amaria said, it's about making sure that these spaces stay intact, right? So, if we think about the shoulder as a space that stayed intact for you, what's one of those spaces or one of those things that you're reflecting on or thinking about that's really tangible and close? And I know oftentimes we go to similar, I mean not similar, but convenient, right? And the nuanced spaces. I tell people, we talk about this all the time. I'm like, like you see the same people getting awards, you see the same people getting recognition, you see the same people getting invited to conversations, and it sounds like the man. I mean, it's not that they don't have something to add, but there's so many conversations happening, and it becomes this humdrum voice and this repetitive echo because we just have the same voices talking over and over again, right? Um, and so I just want to pull on that a little bit and your thoughts about who are you specifically, and it could be more than one person, right? But what's that specific thing that you feel that you're standing on, and who is that person, and do they know it, right? Do they know it?
I think all of my people know it. I have called at one point or another, and I'm just like, how? It's either how do you navigate this, or I realize how much of a treasure it was to have them in my life, or like maybe not how much of a treasure it is, but how much of an impact they had that I didn't realize they had. So as I like navigate different spaces, I mean, we've all been in an office and someone just like, I don't know what that is, but I don't like that. Like it's something about your aura. It's something about you that just like disrupts everything in here. And you're just like, where's the holy oil? And it's the truth. Like you know what? I'ma just pray. I'm just gonna pray, or I'm gonna just go to my door and put some holy oil, or I'm gonna just touch you on your shoulder with the holy oil on my hand. So like not to be super religious, but those situations where it's like, I don't know what it is that is like causing some friction, but it goes like, I allow myself to think back to what will my pastor say? What will my bishop say? You have the power. Like, you don't have to call me. We've given you the tools that you need to be able to stand by yourself and stand along. You have this. Yes, you can call me if you need me, but you got it. Like, you got that whole oil in your office. I know you do, because I told you to put it in your purse. We give you a whole bunch of it. And so
we got some left on your forehead.
Yeah, some
those of you who are Christian and similar faith, right? You know what I'm talking about. If you don't, ask a friend.
Yes. And so like just being mindful that I'm standing on their shoulders, and I don't know if they were in situations like, and they just had to figure out because they didn't have the blueprint, or someone told them, you better take you some holy oil with you, like something like that. But just, I appreciate that I didn't have to touch the pot and then get burned. I could have the blueprint on how to navigate this situation. And then you have like the professional sense. I remember I went into the professional world, my first big girl job, and I was like completely frustrated. And I said, Chief, I don't know. And it was super, super vulnerable because I was extremely frustrated. I don't even know if you remember. I said, how do y'all know this? How do y'all know this? How do you know how to like craft this email to where it's, because I need this. And I'm like, I'm not for the fluff. I just need you to send this back to me. And Chief was like, you have to soften this. This is and I'm like, I don't need to be fluff with them. I want the background check back. That's a simple request. And so I would keep like, well, hold on, you got to learn this. And it was learning the finesse. And I remember coming to you and I'm just like, how did you learn this? Because there's so much that I do not know. And so I would like to think that I've told you. I would like to think that I've called the bishops and told them. But it's those instances on like navigating life at work because I'm a first generation college grad. So the jobs and the careers that my parents had and my grandparents, or even my siblings, they're a little bit different than what the arena in the world that I'm currently in. So, and it was just at that time, because since others have graduated college and they're in the arenas, but it was difficult at first.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Ashley Glass, I saw you nodding like, oh yeah. I had to send one of them emails like, oh my God, what do I say?
Yeah. And Chief, you have helped me out a lot too. I recently went through a kind of like a leadership training with Chief, and I found it very impactful. Even just the question you posed, what is something this might not be exactly how you said it, but what is something you did say yes to that is no longer a yes? And so just reevaluating my life and the decisions I've made and trying to take on so much just because I felt, that was the way to progress in my career. But now being able to look at everything and see like, think more strategically. And if I keep on doing everything, then I can't really strengthen and be, I guess, acknowledged as a leader in any space. If I'm constantly everywhere doing everything, it won't be clear. to others. And so just being able to take a step back and prioritize and strategize, really think about how I'm showing up in these spaces. Who am I showing up with? Who am I interacting with? All of that has truly helped a lot. And it's kind of taken me on this path of, instead of always trying to do everything, literally, thinking about myself first, my family first, and then those other things. Like, those other things are great, but at the end of the day, you know, I have kids, I'm a mom, and, still pouring into myself, because if I'm not okay, I'm not able to help anybody. And so I truly thank you for that, Chief. And when I think about other mentors that I have in my life too, echoing what you said, Ashley, as far as like how to write those emails in the most professional way, like not popping off, or, just I had a history of just leaving spaces instead of addressing issues too. And so I'd be like, all right, I'm just gonna find a new job. And it's like, I would always come to the same situation because I was like running from conflict resolution. My way of dealing with conflict was just leaving and not addressing it. And so now, knowing that is one of my areas of opportunity, not weakness, being able to stand firm and actually, work through things, have those difficult conversations, standing up for myself, or voicing concerns I have, that sort of thing. And being okay with, maybe we aren't going to agree on everything, and that's okay too. That doesn't mean I can't work with you just because we don't agree on things. So, and I feel like I rambled a little bit there, but
Yeah.
that is my response.
You said all things true to me.
Yes.
So Anari and Brian, I wanna pull on the thread that we've heard from Ashley and just kind of think about, how have you navigated when the giant, let me see how I want to say it. So how do you navigate when the legs of legacy stay too long? Right. So if you think about it, right, we've kind of, like, I'll tell you a small story. Like, when we've all been in this place where we're looking at those who are leading at the moment, right, in a situation, whether it's in a group or an organization, and we're kind of like, and we hear this thing, right? So here's a way to think of that statement. The statement that I think encompasses this is, well, that's the way we've always done it. Right. And that's kind of like to me, it's translates to say these legs of legacy have not shifted at the appropriate time into giants, and they've stayed the legacy legs too long. And what happens, right? Like, when have you encountered that? And what occurs? Like, what's the ripple effect of that, do you think?
It's a big question.
It is.
So for me, I think it's different based on where you are, right? So, Honori is younger than me, but as you transition, right, you enter into these spaces, first job, first organizations, whatever the case may be. You could be packed full of ideas that would improve the circumstance, but no one is ready to hear that. So you can take an active approach of trying to pull everybody together, pull them, one by one, and try to move that agenda. Or you could realize that maybe your time is not there, but there's another organization that's ready for what you have to offer. So I think for me, it's kind of been that, trying to assess the situation. I think it took me a while to learn to, what do they say, go where you're valued, not where you're tolerated. I think, and I'm still learning that, actually, in all honesty. That's still a thing, because once you start taking care of people and doing certain things, sometimes stability will override some of those things. So I think the most direct approach as of today, though, is to have an uncomfortable conversation with certain people and to really get to the baseline. Don't tell yourself a story. Don't make up something that has not occurred, to really figure out, is there a solution to combine those legs of legacy, and also I don't know, get an assisted walker with those legs so we can move forward. However you want to look at that.
Yeah, Adari, I want to kind of pull on what Brian's saying a little bit. And, like, I feel like potentially for your generation, like, so I'm Anaria's mom, by the way, but I see a lot of, I think who said the quote about if you can't get at the table, bring your own folding chair. That was you, right, Anaria? Yeah. And so I'm seeing kind of what Brian said is when we can't get a space at the table, I'm seeing a lot of younger people creating new tables, right? And so we've got, I mean, literally, they're even naming it the table, right? Or the new table or the blah, blah, blah table. And now we got tables all over the place. And I don't know that it's resolving anything because, like, some people are still sitting at that old table and haven't moved. And then, it's kind of like my pastors would talk about this fire and focus, right? So fire is like that younger, it's the legs, right? They're innovative, they're passionate, and we want to go, 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 go. Like Brian said, like you run in the room, you're like, I got ideas. And everybody's like, You're like, what? What do you think about why this is occurring? Like why we're seeing all these tables occur, these new tables kind of come online, and what's the impact that that's having on the connection within the Black community towards Black legacy, in your opinion?
I would say that the world is becoming smaller. So a lot of people are seeing that there are these different places that they can go and create their own space or create something that caters more to them or caters more to what they value or what is important to them. And that they have more access to the resources that they need to be able to do that. So I honestly think that as much as there is an overflow of tables, everyone is still getting a seat at the table they would like to sit at. And they're doing what is true to themselves or what is self-expression to them for what's important. I feel like maybe that's why there's a lot of tables.
It's a lot of tables.
Can I
one chair at them.
chime?
Yeah, come on.
So I don't disagree with Anari, but I also think like that's the call for some of the giants and the shoulders to pay attention, right? Because you can have all these new tables, but also you really have to recognize that like time for change, right? You can put the onus on the younger generation to be patient, but also no one is asking the question, are we staying too long? How do we integrate? What's the succession plan? All things, right, have to change, no matter what it is. And so I think that's a good question to pose for everybody. If you're the giant or you're the legs, like that question has to be at every meeting. Where are we and where are we going in what we're doing? So just a comment.
But I mean, we heard all of you say you feel like you're a giant. So how do you know when it's time to move?
Oh, I said legs.
And legs, right? Oh, you weren't both, Brian. Excuse me. So Brian's not both. Okay, I'm kidding. But we heard both say
both.
Pretty much everybody was like, I'm the legs. I can see how I fall into both. So since you can see how you fall into both, how do you know when to move? Like, what are the cues we typically see in the Black community that help us to know, or are we missing some of those?
I'll speak on this because this is something I had to do recently. Some inner work. And I think that's what we're missing in the Black community is even when, myself included, when you take on those leadership roles or those, I forget the term we're using, the giant roles.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Not having that introspection or not noticing when we're burnt out, not noticing when we're showing up to those meetings and speaking engagements and sounding like a broken record. So saying the same, it's almost like it starts to become your passion is, I don't want to say it's gone. It's just like you fall into the The
Like a rut.
Matrix.
The Matrix. I like that. Take the red pill of the blue pill.
So you get to this point where even when you're elevated as the leader, it's almost like you can't be as I don't want to say you can't be as honest, I guess you could say, when you get the spotlight put on you, because then you're held to different levels of constraint. If you want to stay at that certain level. And I think that's what's hindering our community is we have those people who are the giants and they're in this space of they don't want to give up power. They're not appreciative of the legs, even though it's like they don't think back to, they had a journey they had to go through to get to that level. And they expect the legs to do certain things for them, or I hate to say this, but kiss their feet or bow down to them. In order
rub
to
their
get
shoulders,
elevated.
yeah, because that's what
Yes.
you said. So rub this because it's not
Yes.
your turn. Yeah.
In order to elevate, and they want things because they had to do that on their way up, so they feel like it has to go that way. And so I think it's this struggle of power of the giants, but also I guess for me it all roots back to self-care and mental health, like knowing, all right, it's time for me to tap out. I've brought this initiative or program or business to as high as I can. I need to now pass the torch. And I think Brian, you mentioned succession plan. So we need to know that, hey, maybe you envisioned at one point, that you were going to take it so far, but maybe you're going to need another person to take it even further than that. So looking beyond even what you can do. And so I said, I'm going through this personally. So me looking even at the nonprofit I founded, I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, hey, maybe CEO is not your place in this organization. Your place was to build the foundation. It's going good, and acknowledging that and being able to look at other women who are around me and seeing the potential for another person to kind of take it on. I think just that self-awareness piece, everyone, acknowledging where they're at, recognizing when you're a hindrance or you're holding it from what it could be. I don't know. So that's kind of my feedback on that.
I think, Ashley, you said something that was like, it resonated. You have to have the self-awareness. So I feel like my generation, millennials, are like dead smack in between the boomers and the Gen Zers, and love them both. There is like wisdom and knowledge and grace in both in their respective areas. But I can sometimes look at the boomers and I'm like, you're nuts. And then I look at the Gen Zers and I was like, okay, so you're nuts too. So how do I like create the space for everyone to be heard? Because while I'm looking at the boomers, there's wisdom there. And while I'm looking at Gen Z, you're nuts, but there's wisdom there too. Like, I'm not going to work every day, all day. I don't have to be in this office 40 hours a week to get work done. Very valid point. And I've lived and experienced that. Boomers are like, no, you need to be in this office 40 hours a week, and the bill don't dismiss you, I do. And so, like, how do we have a intellectual conversation so that there's not a disconnect and people feel like they need to go create their own tables? Because this table may be fine. It just probably needs a little buffering, like to be restained. But the foundation is good, and there's quality in the foundation. But the whatever you use to sand the table and put that is still very much so needed so that this looks attractive. And I think it's the self-awareness and being mindful that there's 3 different generations right now. The boomers are phasing out, Gen Z is coming in, and millennials are right smack dead in the middle. How do we make sure that we don't lose the wisdom from the giants, but we give the support that's needed for the legs to be the new legacy?
I mean,
So
you
I
just said the whole concept in a nutshell. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the tension
Yeah.
question, right? And I I mean that like is spot on. And I think part of it to answer your question, but not have an answer is we have to have these types of uncommon conversations, right? We've got to, I don't need another, like, throw the tables away personally. That's how I feel, right? Like, because tables are, there is a place, and I get the concept, but the flip side and the, kind of the negative side of tables is they are just constructs to prevent access. They're just constructs that represent power struggles and hierarchy and create boundaries that aren't really healthy, right? They're just other things that you need people to jump over, right? So throw the tables away and let's just get in a circle and talk about this thing. I love tea, and I tell people that's my strategy to all conversations, right? Because by the end of the cup of tea, either we get another one or this conversation's over. But I think we just don't, we were not spending that. We have to slow down to spend time to talk with one another, and we have to not be so constrained by I'm an elder, so I really shouldn't even spend no time talking to you, because you're not on my level, right? Or I'm a this, and so or I'm a young person. I'm like, I don't want to talk to them people because they just want to do the same thing over and over again, and they want it to be old, and they can't figure out how to access. I mean, like all of that stuff, we've got to like set it down and just be willing to come together, have conversations, discuss these things, and figure out how we're going to share power, because that's like really kind of some of the things that I see playing out in that space. I see it marinating, Brian. Come on, bring
it. So, all right, I'm gonna say 2 points, maybe 3. One, self-awareness is key, right? The ability to check in to make sure what you're putting out is a good product. I think I've recently been taking a lot of courses, but one of the things that I came across that I think is relevant to that question, how do you bridge the gap, is trust, right? And so I would not have used the word trust in this way maybe 10 years ago, but the reality is that and this isn't while we're talking Black culture, this is just people in general at this point, right? Like there's a lot of distrust, whether valid or invalid. And so being able to have a conversation about that, like what is it going to take for us to trust each other? What is it going to take for us to see that working together, no matter what your role is, no matter what your age is beneficial to the whole, right? I think and I would say being versatile, being able to adapt, right, is important as well. And I think that's a large part. The trust and the unwillingness to adapt and change create some of this discontent and strain in relationships between anybody. It could be, it could come down to parent and child, but definitely in these age groups, because you have you have a mentality for those generations. You have a cultural thing that has not been addressed within organizations, within communities, within the whole lot, right? And so everybody is feeling this thing because something as simple. Let's reevaluate this one rule of the 100 we have. No, we don't need to do that and it's just trust. You don't trust me. You don't trust, to her example, you don't trust me to do my work at home. So you want to watch me at work. But the reality is I can be right here with you and still not work, but you feel better. Your insecurities, you being able to see me help you deal with your insecurities. So I hope that made sense.
And I do less work at the office. Because people are walking around, coming to my office while I'm at home. I can push out a whole bunch of work because I'm uninterrupted. You got Joe and Becky over here talking about, hey, how's your day? What'd you do this weekend? I sat at home and got ready for work.
Yeah. Narnia, what are your thoughts as you're hearing this conversation, and what do you think are some what's one thing you feel we should just people listening, this group in general, should consider around honoring the giants that we stand on, right? As well as honoring the excitement and innovation of the legs. What's one thing that's tangible, tactical that we can do tomorrow? I'm coming to everybody, but I'm gonna start with you.
Like just one thing we could do.
Yeah. To help ease some of the tension. Like we need the tension, but it's too tight, right? Like the rubber band is fraying some, and we need to consider a strategy to make sure that as a Black community, if we really want to see Black legacy, like what is something, regardless of whether you're legs, you're a giant, you're switching between the two, what's something we can do to help ensure that we stay together, continue to be a bridge over troubled water, as I like to say, and into the next opportunity as well?
I would have to say that teaching younger generations in general and sharing the knowledge that you have as a giant to the people who are acting as the legs, or vice versa, but specifically just teaching Black history. I know a lot of people my age, especially a lot of people younger than me, don't know much about Black history besides like maybe Martin Luther King, and the short little excerpts they teach us when we're growing up in school. But not knowing the full history does not help you to see how far that your people have come. And it has no importance to you if you don't have any knowledge of it. So I think that sharing the knowledge and actually being committed to learning the knowledge would help with the tension.
Yeah. Others, what do you think what's a strategy as we get ready to wrap up that we can tangibly, right? Because we don't want to walk away. Like I'm just a person that when we have a conversation like this, like let's make sure we give people tools. The meat was in the conversation for sure. But like what's something that we can do?
Man, I don't know if I have the words, but I'm gonna try to wrap this up. So collaboration is key, right? The conversation, building trust, right? But I think a lot of this comes down to principle and character, but inside of that is grace and forgiveness, right? I think one of the Ashley stated perfectionism, right? Everybody should put their best foot forward, but I think a large part of the issues we have is that, oh, you didn't do this right, so something's wrong with you, but if you have trust, like, hey, can I help you? What do you need? How can we continue? Like, there's not a success in the world that didn't require a failure to start, right? But we crucify each other in these places instead of, it's okay. Let's talk about it. And then also, part B to that is being okay if that role is not yours. And let's move to the person or thing that can get in it to do the work, not taking that personal. So it lands back with self-awareness. Hey, I want to be here, but maybe this isn't. Because sometimes you have the right people in the wrong spots. And then we have a bad situation because we're asking them to do something that's really not the thing that they should be doing, if that makes sense.
Following function instead of form.
Yes. Or a happy marriage between the two.
Okay. All right.
I think one thing that you've always said, Chief, is because, being in a space where like you're one of the first in your family, you're like, who are you talking to? You talking to me? You're not talking to me. That's not, and sometimes wisdom can get lost in delivery. Like sometimes I can completely miss everything that you said because of how you said it. But once I started trying to, okay, I'm just going to assume positive intent where I can. Like there's sometimes where indeed you have just stepped outside of your face as you've come to kind of try to engage with me. However, there could be some times where I misunderstood And before I pop off or before I lose my cool and I'm like, I've just wrote them off because they just don't, like, we just don't get along. Assuming positive intent has been one of the like most killer pieces of advice that has helped me through my career. And then giving myself grace because I am still figuring it out. It took my giants years to get to where they are. They didn't just wake up with this knowledge and this brain full of information on and knowing like the politics and all of this different other stuff. So if I could wrap it up into two things, it would be assume positive intent and then giving grace to the people around. But most importantly, because Ashley, like you, I deal with perfectionism, giving myself grace to say like this just isn't this isn't for me. And that's okay. And that is okay. And being fine with that.
Yeah. Ashley, last.
I think I agree with what everyone has said so far. And just making sure we're giving those, the main goal shouldn't be to keep the giant status. The main goal should be to bring those legs up and make as many giants as we can. And that's all. At the end of the day, it's about how can we lift those individuals up who are in the leg space to the giant status, and continually do it. And whether that's you having to go down to the legs and then come back up, or it's just a continuous cycle. So that's my statement with that.
Yeah. Wow. We could still go on and on and on, right? And like call somebody, be like, you need to get in here in this conversation. But I just want to say thank you to this incredible panel of Black legacy architects, right? And thought leaders for sharing your wisdom, your experiences, your aspirations, your challenges, your frustrations with us today. Your voices, like we need more space for voice, right? We don't need more echo. We need more voice for your moment and for your called area. Because they're instrumental in shaping the future of Black legacy, the present of Black legacy, and what will be the past of Black legacy. So to our audience that has been listening and has joined us for this Uncommon Conversation, we hope that you found it inspirational, insightful. Maybe you were like, it might have even aggravated you. And that's all right, because that's what an Uncommon Conversation should do. It should provoke you to think deeper, to reflect, and to resonate with you on your journey and others around you. The one thing I want to say to you is go say thank you to a giant whose shoulders you are standing on, especially a Black woman or a Black man during Black History Month. Because I'm going to tell you, I don't care who you are, what color you are, what race, or whatever you identify with, you are standing on the shoulders of a Black woman or a Black man currently. And a thank you goes a long way for letting them know that their sacrifice, their pain, and those wounds were not in vain, and appreciating that piece, right? So remember to connect with us. And as we just think about together, we are all architects of Black legacy, and we're standing on the shoulders of giants and continue to, what Ashley Glass said, keep reaching down and lifting another legs of legacy up. And to the legs of legacy, keep honoring that grief, but giving honor for that gift that you're getting, and kind of get some footies for your shoes so you don't get all that dirt on the shoulders, right? Thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation, and I'm so thankful to be here. I've been your host, Chief Ify Bell, and we want to say till next time.